Hello everybody, it's CapCorgi here. I wanted to give my thoughts on a game I've been playing and we've been enjoying on stream for pretty much this, kind of like the entire week, actually. I cannot stop playing this game. It's a really good problem to have. It's called Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. And we've been enjoying this game for the entire demo, and now we've been playing the actual game. So I wanted to turn on the game and give my first thoughts, impressions. I've done this for a couple of games before, where I kind of just play through some parts of the game with you guys while, talk about the game and give my impressions, what I like, what I dislike. And I think, first of all, I wanted to say I'm very impressed and surprised at the quality of this game. So there's just various parts I wanted to talk about while we play this game. First of all, hear it. Hear the music. Look at that music, guys. One thing this game kills it is all of the music in the game. Whether it's like the battle music or like, the title music, the cinematics music, it's hype. It's good. Like, I don't know who they hired for this, but whoever they hired did a great job creating the ambiance. It feels, tribal. It feels like you're in the age of Avalon. You're in the age of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round. You're watching the movie, the King Arthur movie, Legend of the Sword and everything. The one with Guy Ritchie and everything. And the music in that movie, while the movie may have not been like the most liked by audiences, the music in that movie is great. So that's already an absolute W. Not only that, like the sound of like beating people up and everything like that is fantastic. The combat sounds. One thing I think is underrated in this game is the voice acting. So let's talk to this lad over here, Odran, the drunk. Oh, we already exhausted his stuff. Well, one thing is this guy had like multiple different things you could tell him. Multiple different ways you can interact with him. And as he's a drunk on guard duty, that's not a very good thing for a guard to do, you can choose to report him or not report him. And if you do report him, it has another set of things that happen and dialogue options. And if you don't report him, the same thing happens. Other kinds of dialogue options and stuff open up. So that's one thing that's really, really cool. The characters are well written. That's what I'm trying to say. The characters are well written. Now, every character doesn't have the best voice acting. Certain ones do. Like King Arthur has great voice acting. This guy has great voice acting. The leader of this town, a guy named Fergus, he has great voice acting. And then, like, some of the shopkeepers, which are not really, like, big characters, their voice acting is less stellar. And that's okay, because, this game is made by... you have to take everything in context, and this game is made by a group of 15 people, which is not really that many people. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Fergus is right here. You can see some voice acting here. And so, here we go. Let's just say... Tell me about this place. Something that's not going to be spoilers.
Fine, then. This is the keep. Anyone sworn in as a keeper lives here.
Good voice acting.
No longer fit for service. If that happens, they get transferred to the
better
village.
Quality than I expected.
Otherwise,
is all I'm
going
to say.
Go there without my express permission. So if you ever see any of my boys down there looking shifty, feel free to report them. You're allowed to walk around the keep and the village.
Okay.
If anyone
Anyways,
catches you stealing, I'll take your hand.
I've never been caught stealing, so I don't know if that happens. But anyways, I didn't want to, like, do any spoilers. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys an example of the voice acting. Really, really cool stuff. Now, another thing is the world is extremely immersive. So this guy's very good voice acting as well. He's one of the red priests that you meet. One thing that's really, really cool is, so there's a guard here, right? Say I'm crawling around Shifty. He walks right up to you. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? You haven't stolen anything. He hasn't seen you steal anything, so he's not gonna, like, attack you or anything. But he's just like, why are you sneaking around? And this is something that you haven't really seen. I haven't really seen in other RPGs, even like Oblivion. They didn't really have that in Oblivion or anything. So really, really nice, unique aspect. Now, okay, so let's move on to the next thing. The graphics are very nice. not every single aspect of the graphics is, you know, the highest quality. Like if you go up to, you saw Fergus's face, you look up this guy's face, kind of looks a little wonky, a little like putty, you know, a little wonky, a little rough. That's okay, because you're not really paying attention to their faces that much. You're paying attention to the world much more, and the world in this game is really nicely made. The castle feels like a castle. You know, the statues, there's a lot of detail put into these things. Ow, fall damage. The fall damage hurts like fall down. The actual world and ambiance, the skybox. You know, these large sweeping details are absolutely gorgeous. The light effects, the particle effects. This is using, by the way, Unity. I was curious, is this Unreal Engine 5 or what? This is actually Unity. And frankly, far better than I expected Unity to look. I didn't expect Unity to look like terrible or anything, but it looks pretty darn good. So, very much a big fan. The world building and the art style, by the way, is actually really nice. Like, it feels like a true medieval adventure, and that's what it's supposed to be. I absolutely adore that. I absolutely love that. Now, another aspect of this that I like is we're picking up potatoes, and the reason is the crafting in the game is actually quite legit. So there are various crafting stations. There's only a couple. So you can do alchemy, at least so far that I found. You can do alchemy, or just potion making. You can do cooking at any bonfire, which is for food. And I don't know if you can make drinks or not, but so far it's only food. And you can do blacksmithing, which is also really, really cool. So there's a fireplace around here somewhere. Let's see. One of these is the kitchen, and one of these is... there we go. That is someplace I can do. I think... So you can also, like, spawn your own bonfire, and you can power up the bonfire. You have to save... you gotta talk to a major character. King Arthur, obviously, it's called Tainted Grail. King Arthur's going to be in here. So you can talk to King Arthur there, and he's basically like a spirit in your head. You can use these. Here we go. So this is the cooking. So all these recipes are. We're at the very beginning of the game, by the way. We've only played about. There's multiple maps. We're only in the first map. We're only in the first portion of the first map, and it's extremely dense world. There's a lot to do in the various areas. So we haven't explored far, so we've not found like a whole bunch of recipes yet. But we've already found like 10 odd recipes here. And so yeah, you can use these to make food. And one thing that's interesting about the crafting, something I haven't really seen this in other games, is how the upgrade system for crafting works. First of all, let me move my big ol' head. So you have in this case, cooking skill, right? So your cooking skill will give you a certain percentage to make things better or worse. And everything can be made like the hunter stew can be weak hunter stew if you make it the 6% chance to make it worse. Or it can be a better hunter stew, which is +1, hunter stew +1. And you can also do +2 and so on and so forth. There's different thresholds for those. But the really cool part, like for example, here we go. So yeah, we can make mom's pie +1, and we have a 49% chance to make it, but we also have a 10% chance to make it even better. And the way you can try to force it to be made better is by using more ingredients. So they've actually inadvertently kind of solved the issue of scaling for a lot of these things in other games like Skyrim or Oblivion. Where are you just going to make the same potion over and over again, and it's just going to be like the same weak healing potion or whatever? Sure, but you can upgrade it by using more materials. This also gives you use for your lower class materials, your tier 1 materials, at all times. So it's a really nice like hybridized system, and it's like a sizable upgrade as well. So this works for all the crafting in the game, whether it's potions, food, or what have you. Now, let me show you blacksmithing so you can see kind of like the options for blacksmithing and so on. Blacksmithing is, it's called handicraft, and it's not just blacksmithing, it's everything. So you can do it for armor, weapons, arrows, and so on and so forth. So it's very much the same system. Say I don't want a weak battle axe. I want a battle axe. So you use more wood and more copper ore, and then I have a 13% chance to make it better right now. So if I keep, shoving materials in its gullet, at some point, I ran out of materials. At some point, it'd be a weak battle axe +1. Let's see if I can find one where I have a lot of the materials, so I can, just shove a whole bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, if your crafting is low enough, because I only have 13 in handicraft, I haven't really leveled my crafting ability much at all. Even with the lowest base number of materials, I have a 97% chance of making a broken item. That's why it says broken item here. So it'll be garbage. So in order to make the base normal item, and at least have a chance to do it, I would have to use a lot more leather, a lot more wool fiber, a lot more iron ore, and then I'd have like a low chance to make these really special blue night greaves. Like, I found a recipe for this, so it's like an upgraded, higher tier item. The other thing you can do, you can upgrade any item. One of the things that's a little bit of a bug is that in order to craft, I don't have this wood and I do not have this copper ore in my inventory. So I can use all of these things to craft just fine, which is really nice. Really, really cool, nice addition. There's a stash. You can just shove everything in your stash. Very, very nice. However, in order to upgrade, it does not count the materials for some reason. I think this is a bug. Yeah, I'm just gonna make like a report for the maker of the game and stuff, and be like, I think you guys missed this, and it's not a big deal. Like, this game is extremely by a small team. It's I think it just got out of early access, so there's probably going to be bug fixes and stuff. This is a very expansive game, so there's going to be bugs. So this is another thing, just as an aside. If you're not okay with playing a game that has bugs, first of all, you're playing the wrong genre, because open world RPGs always have a lot of bugs, even if they're high quality. Skyrim, Starfield, Oblivion, these are open world RPGs. They're all buggy as all hell. It's kind of half their charm. And this game is no different, but it's made by a smaller team, and they're still trying to be as expansive as an Oblivion or as a Skyrim, or so on. And so as a result, there's a bit more bugs. Bugs like this. This is like a pretty major crafting bug. It's not a big deal. I already tested it out. If I brought the iron ore out of my stash and the sharpening stone, I could upgrade this just fine. Totally no worries. But it's just something to keep in mind. This game will have bugs. So in order to play this game, in order to really enjoy this game, you're going to have to be okay with bugs. So anyways, there's multiple forms of crafting. This is crafting itself. This is upgrading, using material to make the longbow +2 and a longbow +3, or, so on. Then you can also attach these things called relics. So first you have to use gold. Gold is a pretty important resource in this game. A lot of ways to make gold, so it's not really a big deal, but it is a pretty important resource in the game. And in order to, do anything, upgrading, repairing, blah, blah, you're going to need gold. Gold is big money. And so, if I use $500, gold, I can upgrade this to have a slot on it. I've not done that yet. And I have these relics that can do everything from giving lifesteal to frost damage to this and that. Like, really, I guess bigger effects, more interesting effects. So I can probably show you some examples. I have them, I think, on my inventory. And then you can also, essentially what was in Elden Ring, the tailoring mechanic, where you can slightly change an item and it changes their look and lowers the weight of it. You can do the same thing here. It doesn't change the look, it just changes the weight by 0.5, which makes a sizable difference because your character has a weight class. So depending on the armor you're using and everything, right now I'm running heavy. And if I run even heavier, my dashes go down by 1, my movement speed goes down, and so on. This lowers mana regen, stamina, attack speed, casting speed, dashing speed, movement speed, and dash counter by 1. Because I'm a heavyweight, essentially. If I lower that, let's just take that off. There we go. So I'm still heavy. There we go. So medium. Now I have no penalty on those, and I have 2 dashes that I can use as opposed to just 1, and so on and so forth. So the number goes up and down depending on what you do. Character customization was pretty good. So I do have a video up where I go over the game, where I play the intro of the game and so on and so forth. And the character customization was a little limited. It's not going to be as you can't like stretch the faces or anything like you can in Oblivion or Oblivion Remaster. However, it's still like some good options. The characters look good. The hair looks good. The mustache and beard look good. The body tattoos look cool. Like everything is made to look cool. The other thing is all the armor sets look pretty darn cool. Like I'm in like, nothing fancy here, but like I still feel like, a brawler, bursty knight in the Middle Ages right now. Like, these are just like pretty, it even says scuffed knight's boots, but like they look pretty cool, right guys? Like I think these like they have like quite a good amount of detail and everything, pock marks and everything. The leather boots look pretty darn cool. Like even the basic gear looks awesome. I think that's super underrated, and I'm really a big fan of how they did that, actually. Okay, that's showing feet. There we go. So, yeah. Let me go back to my original boots. There's a lot of usability in this game, which I think is an underrated factor. Right now, I'm sprinting. As you can see, there's no bar on the bottom left where the sprint is going up. Why? Because the game knows that having your stamina run out of battle, where you're just running around the world, just collecting items or going from quest area to quest area or town to town or whatever, it's kind of annoying to deal with stamina, right? But as a result, they just took it out of the game. Like, you don't have to worry about stamina out of fights. The other thing that you just saw I got like a little experience bump and everything like that. The reason is because like Oblivion, like Skyrim, like other open world RPGs, moving around, running around the world and just doing things like attacking and blocking and, being in your stealth mode and so on and so forth, that will increase those requisite skills. So the more you craft, the more you make like shitty fish soup or whatever, the more your cooking will go up. The more you attack with your, one-handed weapon, the more your one-handed skill goes up. The more you parry, the more your parry goes up, and so on and so forth. Very nice experiential way to do it. But, other games have this too. How interesting are the RPG mechanics, CapCorgi? Let me tell you, very good. First of all, you have 5 major stats. You get 1 stat point per level, and each one governs different things. Strength, endurance, dexterity, spirituality, practicality. Spirituality is magic. Practicality is making things. Dex is, the rogue stuff. Endurance is armor. And strength is, one-handed, two-handed, unarmed, blocking, and athletics. So all of those things. And very, very obvious stuff, but, that's the beginning. Thankfully, much more than that. You also have attributes, and these attributes, dive in a little bit deeper. So strength also gives you melee damage, stamina, armor weight, so on and so forth. So these stats are tied to multiple things. And then you have skill trees. And these skill trees are actually quite impressive. So first of all, each skill tree is divvied up via your stat: strength, endurance, dexterity, spirituality, perception, practicality. And then each major skill in those skill trees has a tree. So say I want to be a two-handed monster. There's an entire skill tree for specializing in two-handed. And say I want to, mix the tree. Right now I'm going, I'll just show you my example. I want to be a dual-wielding melee berserker. Like a Viking, essentially. Heavy armor and going around with 2 axes, whirlwind of death, hitting things really, really fast. Basically regenning health if I possibly can, taking less damage and doing more damage the lower health I am. And you can do that with all of these trees. You can do that with magic. You can be, full stealth archer. You can be a full magic guy. You can be a summoning magic guy. You can be a frost fire, elemental magic guy. You can specialize in poisons and potions. You can specialize in crafting. You can specialize in one-handed, two-handed. You can do unarmed. There's an entire unarmed skill tree. It's not really a big one because you can mix it with stuff. One might look at this tree and be like, there's only 4 parts to the unarmed skill tree. It's because unarmed already is quite strong. But also, what you can do is, put some points in unarmed, and then put some points in the general combat tree. So this is general melee damage, stagger damage, and as an unarmed guy, you're going to stagger more. and so you'll probably be taking advantage of this. Then you can like go to endurance, go to stamina, and then you'll get bonuses for attacking, restoring your stamina, more damage the more stamina you have, so on and so forth, which is multipliers. It's all multipliers. And then you can like go into dexterity, which is, there's an attack speed tree. This is what I'm going to be using, and you can you're basically increasing your attack speed all the time. And the more attacks you can do, consecutive attacks, it adds to that. There's an entire parry mechanic. There's an entire parry tree. Very, very cool. And all kinds of different stuff. So, also, one of the other really, really nice parts is that there is a movement called the dash. Now, dashes are really nice, and they feel really, really good. Especially in combat. This is the dash. And, here, I'm going to die to this guy because he's over-leveled. One thing that you should know about this game is, unlike Oblivion and Skyrim, the world is not scaled. What that means is, you can over-level an area, say, like, this is the beginning beach area. No spoiler, this is where you start up, right? Everything here is very low level. When you attack them, it's easy to kill them. Not a bad thing, pretty good thing, because you're starting off low level, you're starting off at level 1 or whatever. But what that means is that this is what I did. I went in the water and I just explored around. I saw that there was a path going up here, and I didn't take the path because I never do. So I explored this island, found some cool stuff, and then I went over here, and I'm like, man, Smuggler's Bay, this looks pretty cool. And there were guys that were like one-tapping me. Absolutely mercilessly. And the game tells you at the very beginning of the game, it shows you really, really fast how the leveling scaling works, and it's like you can go to Smuggler's Bay if you want at a level 1 character, but if you get hit once, you're going to die. You're going to go into this place knowing that, and if you do go through this area, you'll get some pretty cool loot. So it's there's a reason to do it. But, it's a risk versus reward thing. Whereas in Skyrim and Oblivion, you can go to anywhere on the map almost, and, there's no level scaling. The monster over here will be, wearing the same type of gear, iron gear at low level, and, glass gear, and obsidian, and so on and so forth, ebony, whenever you're, like, level 25 or whatever. And so, like, that was a bit of a interesting thing for Oblivion, but also something that a lot of people didn't like in the remaster. I'm used to it. I played 10,000 hours of Oblivion, but it's just something to keep in mind. No level scaling. I kind of like how this is done, actually, because, like I said, this game is pretty brutal. It's actually quite a bit harder, in my opinion, than, like, base Oblivion or base Skyrim. Also, I am playing on veteran mode, which is, like, the hard mode. There is a permadeath mode. I didn't do that, but I am playing on, like, the hardest difficulty. So things will hit harder. My stamina runs out faster. All of those types of deals. But there's an easier mode. There's a normal mode. There's a harder mode. And then there's permadeath. So this guy will one-tap me, but I just wanted to show you an example of the combat without having to look for it. So, I don't know if you would kill me on normal, by the way. I have no clue. But, you know what? Let's find something that's not going to one-tap me. Because I want to actually show you how the combat feels. And I think the combat might be what people consider this game the biggest weakness of this game. I don't think it's bad by any means whatsoever. I like the combat of this game. But I know it won't be, and is not, to everyone's liking. There we go. Got some carnations. This has been an issue. If you look on the Steam page and stuff like that, some people do rate down the game because of the combat being a little wonky, a little jank. It's not as clean as like a Skyrim. It's not as clean as Oblivion Remaster even, or anything like that. However, I think the game does have a lot of nuance that those games don't have. So, the dash is in Oblivion Remaster, but it wasn't in OG Oblivion. It was something that they added for the remaster, which is very, very nice. You can't dual wield in Oblivion. You can in Skyrim, but you can't in Oblivion. So dual wielding is an entire thing that's not there. This is a guy. Here we go. So here's some combat. The music goes there. The music is nice, understated. There we go. Dash. Got a little dash attack.
We'll make short work.
There we go. That's the parry. It does a little pop back. You can see the green bar under him. That is like a, what's it called? A stun meter. It's like the stamina meter that we have. And the same thing can happen to us. So every attack, every parry will stun. And if you get it low enough, they get staggered. So they have to wait until their stamina meter regens. But they're also taking some big old damage in the meantime as well. And there's things to give you bonuses for that and so on and so forth. So that is the combat in this game. However, that's not the only way the combat works. There's also combat for, like I said, there's magic. There is, like, necromancy in the game as well. Pretty extensive necromancy tree. There is, of course, like, you know, the normal combat, the, you know, fireballs and all that. All kinds of critters on the map. There is bows and arrows I can demonstrate. I'm not really good with the bow and arrow. I'm never good with bow and arrow in any of these games. I'm not really a stealth archer type. But if that is your archetype, you know, there is that as well. Here, I'll demonstrate. Let me get rid of my double daggers. Yeah, okay. I can use a longbow. Longbow, long boy. And let's not use my special arrows. There we go. So this is the longbow. There's a zoom in. And you do move slower. And if you overhold the arrow, kind of like in Kingdom Come,
supposed to
you will, there are throwing knives. Those are consumables in the bottom right.
regret this.
You can dash, but you run out of stamina right quick. So you don't want to wear heavy armor. You know, there's like, you know, a point to wearing lighter armor. This game does have like a lot of the jank that other Elder Scrolls games and so on do. Where, you know, if you can break the AI pretty darn easily sometimes. But that's like kind of like the beauty for some of these. Ow. Hold on, let me move back. This is the quick draw tree, so you can like you have all these things set up, which is very, very handy. Here's a magic spell. Oh god. Ow. So every spell has a click point click thingy, and then you can hold it for another effect. Kind of like Skyrim in that way. I died, but that's okay.
Gold belongs to us now.
That's all right. So that's like a little bit of the combat in the game. Parrying feels pretty good. It took me a little bit to get used to, but it does feel really, really good. Dashing feels clean. The hitboxes for the dashing are like Dark Souls feel. It's really nice. Those feel really, really clean. Like you saw I was dashing, dodging, weaving, diving, ducking. All of that felt good. It absolutely felt good. Very impressed with how that worked. Now the downside is stamina, at least on the mode that I'm playing on, is brutal. So I have like, you know, 4 swings total before my stamina bar is completely depleted if I don't dash. And as a result, like, I can overexert myself all the time. But granted, I'm wearing full-on heavy armor. And I'm not built for, you know, I'm building for damage. I'm not building for other things. And that can be an issue. It's just something to keep in mind. Definitely a very, very different set of balance than Oblivion or Skyrim. I'm using those as the prime examples because they're the ones that everyone's played. Though you can use Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 as well, because, you know, everyone played that just a few months ago. We've been eating good, by the way. I just realized, man, like, we've been eating good as players of open world RPGs. Like, there are so many good ones this year. It's such a nice surprise. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is price for the game's quality. One thing to keep in mind is this is, you know, people might look at the jank and be like, I don't know about this game, man. This is not a full price game. One of the reasons that this is extremely highly rated, 90% positive on Steam, which is no joke. It's almost, 10,000 reviews, and it just came out. It's a pretty small indie game. This is a $45 game. So this is priced pretty much at parity with Oblivion, with Expedition 33, lower than Kingdom Come Deliverance, even though Kingdom Come Deliverance was, I think, 60 at launch. So it was still under MSRP of, you know, base AAA price, which would be at the time 70. Now it's going to be 80. Thank you, Nintendo. But this is well under that price. And one of the reasons that this game is considered very highly positive is people like me and everyone are willing to forgive a little bit of jank when the game is priced competitively. It's priced to make you enjoy the game. It's priced to make you feel like you are playing a game that is not a full AAA release. It's just not. There's no way it is. It's a 50-man team making a vast open world RPG. There's going to be bugs. There's going to be issues. But they're willing to lean into that and say, hey, this is a lower price than normal. We think you're going to like it for what it is. And that's what they're trying to do. And then they're trying to make that as good and polished as possible. That is why it is highly rated. And that's why I'm highly rating it as well. That context is very, very important. A lot of people may not care about that. I personally do, and if you don't, no worries. But I definitely like to take these things in context. Now, another thing that I love is the differences in the world compared to other open world RPGs. Oblivion is a pretty happy-go-lucky world. Sure, there's death. Sure, there's demons. Sure, there's this. Sure, there's that. There's some mature storylines and stuff. But there's also a lot of silliness. Like, a lot of silliness. There's a quest where there's a guy who's a paranoid schizophrenic, and you have to either convince him to, you can either feed into his delusions or not. And, some of the options are pretty hilarious. And there's a lot of unintentional comedy as well as intentional comedy in Elder Scrolls in general, but especially far less so in Skyrim. Skyrim was a much more dour game, but far less so in Oblivion. Oblivion is a very, quite bright game. Like it's a bit of a cheery game in a lot of ways. One of the reasons it's so beloved by a lot of us. This game, however, is full on grimdark, and I love that. It is trying to be grimdark. You look at this really dope, this is like a giant from Dark Souls, right? It kind of gives me the look and a feel of a giant from Dark Souls. And it is like flayed against the wall. It's basically like crucified almost, right? This is pretty crazy stuff. You can cut people's heads off in this game. There's nooses around and people are talking about getting hanged. The entire first sequence of the game, you're in a prison where there's torture and murder and people, trying to off themselves in order to escape and so on and so forth. Extremely mature storyline, and this game does not pull, so far as I've seen, any punches whatsoever in terms of maturity, in terms of they're trusting you as an audience. They're like, okay, this is a mature game. You know what you're getting into. So we're going to go all in. And you'll either like it or you won't. By the way, the lockpicking is full. It's Skyrim. It's the exact same thing. Still good, but it is basically the Skyrim lockpicking. And it's very smoothly done, so. Anyways, but yeah, so I like how they did this in terms of the world. And one of the things is that they were able to do things that differentiate it from other open world games, like, Skyrim and Oblivion. At night, I don't know if I can I wait here? No, there's no wait command. You can only wait at a fireplace. And we can, I'll try to clear out this guy, and there's a fireplace over there. But I can show you the nighttime. And the nighttime ambiance gets dark. Everyone that you're fighting becomes like a berserker. They're infected and stuff. And you get a whole different set of drops. And it is an entirely different set of circumstances at night. And it's kind of rough, kind of spooky. But I love that. I think that's really, really cool. And I think they were only feeling like they could do that because of the themes of the game and because of how dark and dank the game's storyline is. So let's let our character sleep until, let's just say 20 o'clock. I know that's 8 p.m. Okay, so now it is getting to night. We are rested. Let me do 2 more. Yes, the air is thick with weirdness. It would be wise to keep your eyes open. But we're just going to say, screw it. Howl of the incoming weird night woke you up. So this is the weird night. It's not just night, it's a weird night. Now, I think this is a circle of... I never really figured this out. This is a lore thing. But you see there's goldenness around me. This isn't a bug. This is there's something with the lore with this. I haven't really figured that out yet. But anyways, because it's night, everything will drop weirdness. The weirdness is you can consider it like a miasma that transforms and changes people and animals and everything. It's like a big force that the world is fighting against. Let me see if I can find a bad guy that is infected by the weirdness so you can see how different he is. There are also different kinds of enemies. You can find, like, floating specters around, and they're all weirdness. But, like, the ambiance is spooky. Look at the sky, man. The sky is gorgeous. Ah, here it, dude, yeah, those are specters. Those are specters. Can I pull one without pulling a group? That's the question. Yeah, okay, here we go. These are like the souls of the dead. Some proper combat, by the way. Ow. The quick slots are very handy. Ow. Different mechanics can work well together. On hard mode, you have to kind of like worry a little bit more about what you're hitting and so on. There we go. Nice little slowdown, like almost like a kill cam feature, but not quite. There we go. But yeah, so they drop these things called ethereal cobwebs. Now these things are very handy because you can get unidentified items in the game, and the only the only way to identify them is by getting these ethereal cobwebs and basically souping up your bonfire like you would in Dark Souls. And when you do so, you will be able to identify items, do alchemy, and talk to King Arthur, and so on and so forth. So quite a bit different than, you know, Oblivion, Skyrim. No unidentified items in those games, right? And one more. Bonk. And we leveled up. Look at that, baby. Not too shabby. But yeah, so that is how you do that. Now you can go to any bonfire and soup it up, and you can also soup up your own bonfire here. So if I was like, man, this sucks, I don't want to fight these anymore, I could, you know, use this bonfire, soup it up, and then identify all the items in my inventory that are unidentified. Let's go to my bag, and I'll show you an example. They'll just show up as a question mark. Yeah, here it is. So decent unidentified item. And so we can use the ethereal cobwebs. I think it's 5 for like the lowest tier, and then 10, and then so on and so forth. And there's like, you know, bonuses and so on and so forth to like, you know, make that more efficient. It's one of the crafting trees. So a lot of different things. You know, you couldn't really get away with this in the world of Skyrim and Oblivion, you know? This is like very much a grimdark style feel. And that is why I like how they did this in this game. I think it's very, very well done. I think it's really, really cool. Now, anything else I can think of? As you can see, the combat had some slowdown. It's a little jank. You know, the dodges, the hitboxes are smooth. So as you can see, like, there is one part, if you rewind right now, you rewatch the tape. The tail of the tape will show you that there was like a swipe that the guy did, and it was like an overhang swipe, and it was like a diagonal swipe. And I was on this part of the diagonal, right? And because of that, he didn't hit me. If I was on, you know, the actual swipe part of the swipe, it would hit me. The hitboxes are tight. The dodges are tight. And it feels Dark Souls-y in that way, which is fantastic. I love that. I love that. Really, really nicely well done and really, really cool. And again, I'm playing on the hardest mode, so that's one of the reasons I had to, you know, kind of do a little bit of jank where I'm like, you know, dodging backwards. I'm making sure I parry and so on and so forth. So yeah. Now, the storyline of the game is pretty darn cool as well. There's one last thing to touch upon. First of all, there's 2 different types of storytelling in my opinion. 3 different types. I'll tell you. Sorry, I had to drink some water. The first that I consider is ambient storytelling. What is the storytelling in the world without reading or listening to anything? In terms of, it's not a guy talking to you. It's not exposition. It is just the world and how the world building is in the lands and in the space and in the castles that you walk across and, you know, the blood and the bodies you find on the ground and so on and so forth. And in that, this game gets full marks. The world building in this game is actually insane. Like, it's really, really nicely done. The shadows are peak. You know, obviously I have the brightness up for you guys, but also my computer laptop screen, it's super bright. So your normal brightness will not be like this in the game. It'll be a lot more darker. But you know, for the sake of stream, for the sake of my own eyes playing the game on a wonky laptop, I had to make it extra bright. So this will be a lot darker for you and a lot more atmospheric than I have. And the other type of, and so yeah, there's a lot of ambient storytelling. You know, like I showed you the giant being flayed to the wall. That's like, there's a bunch, like underground cities. You know, ruins that are half underwater, blood lakes, like, you know, prisons and chains and all kinds of like really cool stuff. Really, really well done. I would say on par with some of Bethesda's best work, actually. The world building is really, really great for that. Now, the other type of storytelling is the expositional storytelling, the main storyline. You're in what amounts to Camelot, a different version of Camelot. You're in this crazy world. You're meeting, you know, characters like King Arthur. Merlin has been mentioned. I haven't seen him yet. We're at the beginning of the game. King Arthur is like one of the first things you see, so it's not like that's a spoiler. It's also called Tainted Grail. So yeah, there's not much of a spoiler with King Arthur. But you know, all of that stuff so far is quite good. We haven't gone too far in that, but I really do like the storytelling. You know, it's a tale of resurrection and demons and ghosts and goblins and all kinds of stuff. So like, you know, heavy, like low fantasy and a bit of high fantasy stuff and dark fantasy stuff. So I vibe with that. I've read a lot of books like this. You know, Arthurian legend is something I wish there was a lot more games made of, and it's kind of a regret of mine that they're not mine, but like, you know, regret in general, that there aren't that many you know, games made with this, you know, setting in mind. I think it's frankly a missed opportunity. I think it's a really great setting. I'm like, how the hell did they not make a game like this before? And maybe they have, but I just never played it, never heard of it. But regardless, I'm glad it's here now. Now the and it's a pretty interesting story. You know, the other part is that there are branching paths and storylines even from the tutorial island. So the island is I don't know, does it show on the map? It doesn't look like it. So the tutorial island, there was a major choice that you find at the end. Now, you can choose to kill every NPC, including the named NPCs. And so far, I haven't found one that's unkillable. Even one of the guys that basically like sets you on your path to get this island and everything, you can murder him too. You can murder anyone. It's crazy. And there's, you know, reasons for doing so or not doing so. Now, you might screw over your run and be locked into a certain path if you do that, but it gives you the choice. And I think, you know, open world games live and die by the breadth and the width of the choices that they're willing to let you make and the mistakes they're willing to let you make. That's why Baldur's Gate 2 is such an... Sorry, no, 2. Baldur's Gate 3 is such an amazing game. 2 as well, but 3 is the one I'm talking about. That's why Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is top tier. That's why Oblivion Remaster is blowing the minds of people like Shroud and Asmongold who never played a game like this before. That's why Avowed was so underwhelming, because it did not give you really a lot of breadth in the storytelling. At least not early. Apparently there was some major decision making like in the second, you know, the third and fourth quarters of the game and so on and so forth. But for me, that was too late. Too little, too late. This gives you a choice that will change everything, including what the characters say, but also like your path going forward at the very beginning of the game. And all throughout. Like, there was multiple choices in our first town. This is our first town. And there are multiple choices there. You know, there's multiple choices everywhere. You can choose to help people, hurt people, something in between. You can choose different dialogue options. There are dialogue options with using your stats. So stat checks, skill checks. If you have a certain level of perception, you have a 20% chance of doing a dialogue option or not. I really like how they do that. Some people prefer, like, you know, the old Bethesda style where if you have 7 endurance, you'll always get the thing. But I kind of like the percentage base because, you know, I'm building my character as a melee brawler. So I don't have practicality. I don't have magic. I don't have perception, which is crit and for stealth builds. So I don't have those things. But am I willing to roll a dice for a 20-25% skill check for one of those dialogue options? I'm a gambler, sure. In a game, I'm absolutely willing. And this game lets you do that, which I really like. So I don't have to invest, a whole bunch of points. Now, it'll give me like the 100% chance if I do invest points. So there's a reason to do so if you want, but you don't have to. I really, really do like how they did that. Your mileage may vary. I love it. Now, the last type of storytelling is, in my opinion, some of the most important, especially in an open world RPG. And this is something that Bethesda does extremely well. Reading a book, unironically, or notes in the world. And what do these notes and books tell you? And how are they written? And I think they're written actually extremely, extremely well. Do I have any on me? Oh yeah, so even like, so this is like a book for just learning an alchemical concoction, and it has an actual storyline in it. Not a really long one. Obviously, there are going to have to be some corners that are like not as well rounded out in a game of this breadth. You can't write like 20 pages for this like you could in a Bethesda game, but at least it has something. And every book is interesting. I've read aloud every single note and every single book so far, and they've all had something interesting to say. And the words in the notes and everything, they're really, really. Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah. So these were the skill books, and these are the random notes, and they're full of world building, full of lore. Full of grit and vigor and all kinds of stories of death and glory and everything like that. And a lot of times they're tied to quests that aren't marked. So this game does a really cool thing where you'll go have a quest to go down and check the beach here, just for whatever reason. You don't have a reason why. There's just a quest. I had a friend and he's missing and he was at the docks. Can you go check it out for me and see where he is? And so you'll go down, trot down to the docks and find some guys and blah, blah, blah. And then like I overheard a couple of bad guys yapping, and they are talking about a crime that they just committed. And I was, stealthing around. So I was able to glance upon this. I kill those guys, and one of them has a note on him. And they're not really marked. It's not like, John Jones and Albert Rector or whatever. And it's just like, outcast guy and outcast guy. And it was like starving thief and like desperate thief, I think were their names or whatever. And so like, it doesn't tell you that, oh, these guys are super important and there's a quest tied to this. But you kill them, there's a note on them, and there was a quest tied to it. And as a result, I was able to find a really cool amulet based on solving that quest, which was a completely unmarked quest, just dotted around the map because I was exploring. Exploration in this game is gigantic. We haven't been everywhere by any means. And, we've been playing, I would say, including the demo, I would say close to 20 hours. And so in 20 hours, I've only explored this much of the map. And we have this much of the map if it doesn't, like, expand. I don't know if it expands like Elden Ring does when we get to the top. No clue. Maybe it does. I mean, it kind of like the border kind of feels like this. So maybe it does expand. Who knows? But even if it doesn't, the world is extremely dense. And there's a lot to do and a lot to explore. There's hidden items all over the map. There's hidden, like, quests all over the map. There's areas above. It uses verticality really well. Stuff hidden underground and underwater. Like, this is not just a blackened water. You can swim in the water, and there's stuff in the water. There's caves in the water. There's ruins in the water. I actually got to this area through an underground ruin that was underwater, and I had to swim through it and risk, my character drowning. Extremely great exploration. And hidden items all across the map. Like, oh my god, I found like a couple of really cool items in a place I'm not going to show. But it was like right near the beginning sandy beach. And if I didn't explore that, even on the tutorial island, there was like a necklace that I'm still using right now that gives me a whole bunch of stats that I particularly want. And, you know, there's rings and amulets and everything. Like, in the beach of the first map, the tutorial map. And you can't go back there as far as I know. So maybe you can go back there later on. But I guess if you miss it, it's gone. You can't get back there. And so the game really does very much reward exploration. There's also, you know, hidden treasure chests in the ground that you have to have a shovel on you. You have to dig them up. You know, there's ore on the map to, you know, mine. There's apparently wood I can cut. I've not really found trees I can cut down, but maybe I'll find that later on. Alchemical ingredients like crazy. And everything in between. Everything in between. So, really, really great stuff. Anyways, I just wanted to give my heads up. I'm going to save the game now. One thing that's really, really cool, I'll show you. A usability thing. I was talking about the sprint with the usability earlier. If you haven't saved, actually, even if you saved immediately, it'll give you a timer for when you last saved. So if you're prone to like missing an autosave and then like leaving the game, not thinking about it, and then you like lose half an hour of your progress, this game actually gives you a warning of the exact last time it did any kind of save, whether it's an autosave or a hard save. And I don't think I remember seeing that in a game ever. Maybe it's been in a game before. I just don't remember it. So now it's like, you know, reset to 0.2. So this is such a nice thing, man. I adore this. It's such a nice usability thing. But anyways, that's my little discussion. What do you guys think of Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon? I think it's a really cool game. I think it deserves the 90%. By no means is a 10 out of 10 game. It's not a perfect game. It's very hard to hit a 10 out of 10 for me. But is it worth $45? Absolutely. If you like open world RPGs, you're willing to deal with a little bit of jank, and you have $45 and you want to get another, you know, Oblivion-like, Skyrim-like experience, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or 1 style experience, a bit of magic and so on and so forth. You want an interesting story and stuff. This is a very well-made game. Interconnected storylines, factions, you name it. And I don't see a deficit in this game in pretty much any way. There's nothing major missing from this game, like there was in a game like Avowed, which is, you know, the other open world RPG that came out quite recently, just a few months ago. And I think that's really, really nice. So, you know, we haven't figured out a way to craft spells, so I don't know if that's a thing. I hope it is. I don't know if there's enchanting. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Who knows? But the upgrade paths I've already showed you are pretty cool as well. I actually didn't show you the way to, you know, add fusible sockets to your weapons and stuff, but I kind of showed you the beginning of it, but I didn't show you the actual like gems they can put in. But that kind of feels a little bit like enchanting, but maybe that's like the enchanting analog in this game. I don't know. I don't know if there's something that I'll unlock later on. There is fishing, by the way. Lots of fishing. If you want, there is fishing, and you know, I think there's probably mini games tied to it or something. There was a little bit of a hint of a fishing contest kind of stuff. I don't know if that'll happen, but I'm excited to explore. And you know, this game makes you excited to explore. And if you don't have that in an open world RPG, you really don't got much in an open world RPG. And I love that this is in that game. So that is in this game. And I'm excited to see more. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. How did you like this experience? How did you like this first impressions video? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And also, let me know if you have played Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, or if you haven't, and you're interested in doing so, what is the kind of build you would want to use in this game? I'm a heavy armor, you know, 2 axes, going at it like a berserker. I'm going to be building attack speed and crit. And that's what I'm going to be. I'm just going to like that, like a full like Viking berserker, right? That's my build. You know, there's what are you going to be building? I want to know. Are you stealth archer? Are you going to be like, you know, poisoner? Are you going to be a rogue? Are you going to be a magician? A wizard? Are you going to be an elemental wizard? Are you going to be a summoner? Are you going to be a buffer? Like there's lots of buffs and stuff in the game. Are you going to be doing blood magic? There's blood magic in the game. It's one of the first things you get. Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Excited to see more of the world of Tainted Grail. And if you guys want some guide content, I'm thinking of maybe make some guides. Is there any questions you guys have? Anything you'd like me to cover? I will cover it all for this game and any other. I love doing so. And either way, thank you guys for your time. Hope you guys like the review. Do let me know. And if you do like it, make sure you turn on the bell for more content like this for this and countless other games. We do full variety on here. And if you do want to hop on in, watch us play live, CapCorgi on Twitch, and give this video a sub. Share it with your friends. It's completely free, and it's one of my favorite ways to reach out, make new friends. And either way, catch you guys in the next video.